every single time an entrepreneur passes a new milestone, whether that be $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, they will always have to face a certain set of challenges. And these challenges are what I'm calling phases. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through a few of the phases that I promise you will have to pass through in order to hit the next milestone. In fact, if you can accomplish these will be one of the reasons that you do pass into that next level.
We used to live in Hermosa, now we in turns. My reach so it's probably on the beach to Oslo and Zurich. And I'd assume every other country in Europe, but it's nothing that consumes me. Consuming pancakes and syrup. The new me same as the old me. So if you knew me, you sure as hell recognize I just need to be stable like using stirrups.
Do you ever know those people that every time they talk to a client, every business that they start, every deal that they chase, it always just seems to work for them in some way? It's usually because that person has gone through certain phases of business to develop themselves to a certain level. And so there are different phases that you pass through as you go from that zero to that first $1 million. Well, if you grow an apple tree, the apple tree is going to give you apples. If you grow an orange tree, the orange tree is going to give you oranges. It is not going to produce pears. And that is just simply the laws of physics, and that's how the world works. And it is the exact same for you. You will reproduce after your own kind. In other words, the team that you build, the money that you make, the deals that you get are all going to be a version of yourself. They're going to be like you. In other words, your business is going to have the same psychology that you have yourself. And so this is not some fluffy, motivational, mental game that I'm going to talk about. These are genuine challenges that you face as an entrepreneur that will hold you back from scaling your company. So there are exactly 5 phases that you will go through. So the first phase, which is the beginning, is usually when you're either looking around for ideas or like an industry to step into, or maybe you already had an idea. And so you're researching this idea, you're exploring the markets, you're like figuring things out. And this is like straight ambition, energy, sheer force at this moment. You're like diving into something super like head first, and you don't know really anything about the industry and you're figuring it out. And funnily enough, that is actually your superpower in this phase, is that you don't know what you don't know. And so you're just plowing forward. And this level is great. But here's what nobody will tell you about this phase. It's loud and it's obnoxious, and there are so many different things going on. There are 1,000,001 different gurus that you can listen to that are giving you advice, giving you ideas. And so it's incredibly obnoxious in this phase. And so what you end up doing in this phase is you bounce. You pick one idea, you start running with it, and then someone else will tell you, hey, you should do this. And so you start doing that thing. And so you end up confusing motion for progress. And so you're just running on sheer excitement. And while excitement is great, excitement is not a foundation for you to actually build off of. Eventually, you're going to discover all of this the hard way, and you're either going to keep running on fumes or you're going to actually start building a foundation from there. And that brings me to the next phase. So this next phase is the phase that actually hurts. And you've been riding on ambition and excitement this entire time, and then you actually end up launching something out into the marketplace, you ship the product, you launch the business officially, and the marketplace ends up slapping you back in the face. Why? It's because the marketplace does not care at all about your ambition, doesn't care about your excitement, doesn't care about how fast you are. It literally does not care. And so even if you've been staying up until 3 a.m. for however many nights, it literally doesn't care. And this feels like a slap back in the face. The marketplace only cares about one thing, and that one thing is value. Did you solve a real problem for a real person or not? The reason this hurts so bad is because usually the sole thing that you've been leaning on, your ambition, ends up being worth nothing. Now, here's where it gets especially dangerous. That question of what am I actually worth to the marketplace does not just exist in business, it starts to leak out into other areas of life. It starts to leak into your confidence, into the way that you carry yourself, into the way that you walk into a room. It starts to leak into everything else, your friends, your relationships. And so what happens is you end up tying your worth to your revenue. And so then all it takes is one slow month or a series of slow months, and it feels like a verdict on your self-worth. Now, this is where my faith steps in a ton for me and helps me get over this. And that is because your worth is not your revenue. The marketplace doesn't get to decide how valuable you are. Your value is given, it is not earned. And so the marketplace is allowed to tell you how valuable your offer is, but it's not allowed to tell you how valuable you are as a person. And so you have to end up separating the two of these in order to get over this phase. If you can separate these two, this entire problem loses its grip on you.
Okay, moving into the next phase, we have to talk about your friends. And I have to say this carefully so that this doesn't sound really arrogant or it's misunderstood. But you will hit this phase where you will start to evaluate your friends and your circle and the people that are around you. And I hope you do this at some point because this is a super important step. Now you have to reevaluate them. And I'm not talking about like your W-2 friends or your like 9-to-5 people. Like I'm not talking about those people because they're obviously different. They're on a different path than you are in your entrepreneurial journey. I'm actually talking about your entrepreneur friends, even those friends doing like that 5K a month, the 10K a month friends, where they've kind of made it in some way, but very much made it in the beginning levels. I would argue that those are some of the most dangerous people to be around if you are not careful. And the reason being is that when those people hit a certain level, they start to slow down and they start to call themselves successful. And this is arguably one of the most dangerous zones to be in. In fact, Layla Hermosi has a really great story that she was sharing about how she was doing like 300 to 500K a month or something like that. And some guy told her, he said, while you're celebrating your success, somebody hungrier than you, faster than you, and more ambitious than you is coming after what you have. And I don't know if I agree with the whole statement, but it definitely got me thinking about how when people start to call themselves successful, they stop building. And so if you remain in that crowd around you, you are going to copy them. You will become like the people you're around. Now, let me be super clear about what I'm saying here. What I'm not saying is to go be some lone wolf and like forget the day ones, whatever that quote is. I'm not saying be alone. That's a terrible idea. What I'm saying is when you hit this phase, now is the time to start finding and quickly finding a higher caliber circle to get around. If you don't do that and don't do that quickly, you're just going to be alone and slow rather than just with people that are also slow. So find a higher caliber of people. Now, what's funny was for me, when I started building that different circle around myself, I noticed that the people that I was surrounding myself with were people that were actually much further ahead in just life, like not just business, but like overall life. Like we're talking people that have kids running around. Like they're significantly further ahead than me. And it was weird at first, but you kind of get used to it. And I'm so happy with it because a lot of these people are where I'm headed already. They're a step ahead of me in just life, in business, in a lot of different areas of life. And so that is my favorite circle to be around. And I have taught myself in some way to be comfortable and to enjoy those people. And so I enjoy that area of growth rather than to enjoy an area that keeps me where I'm at for way too long. You don't outgrow people to be alone. You outgrow people to find a better room for you to grow. Okay, so the next phase is potential. And specifically, it's the pressure of potential. This is something that everybody around you can see. Like, you know it. There's a huge gap ahead of you. There's a huge ceiling, I should say, ahead of you. Like, you know that you are capable of so much more. You have like this huge vision or this huge dream that you want to attack. And a lot of the people around you can see it as well. And so this sounds at face value like a really good thing. The reality is this can actually be a weight that you carry. And it can be exhausting, and it can kind of be a heavy thing to carry. Now, here's the trap. The pressure of potential can be the very thing holding you back. And the reason being is because when there's this pressure of potential, you end up polishing all of the small things and small tasks, and you neglect actually going after the big thing because of a fear that if you go after the big thing, you might fail. And so you end up doing these small little tasks and small little wins around you that don't really end up getting you anywhere, and they're just noise in your entire project or business. And so the fear of wasting your potential ends up becoming the exact reason that you stop using it. So the way out of this is like almost annoyingly simple. The solution is to take one step at a time, which I know sounds cliche, but what I mean is you have to stop treating potential as a debt that you have to pay off and just start treating it as a direction that you're headed in. Potential is not a bill that you owe, it is a direction that you walk in. Okay, this fifth and final phase is growth and scale. And this is going to tie the entire video together and all of the other phases. The entire point is that your business will inherit your psychology. In fact, everything you're working on will inherit your psychology. Now, what do I mean? Well, I said at the beginning of this video a quote that was, everything reproduces after its own kind. meaning an apple tree produces apples, an orange tree produces oranges. They don't produce pears. They will reproduce after their own kind. Now, this is like the laws of the earth, the laws of everything. And I'm a Christian, so I believe that God put it, God designed it that way, that everything would reproduce after its own kind. Now, turns out this is exactly the same in your business and in your systems and in your team. All of them will inherit your psychology. And so this means that if you have these unhealthy traits or these unhealthy practices, what you will find, and I promise you this, you will find them in your business, in your team, in your systems, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's this massive battle where you have to start working on yourself. You have to work on the man or the woman that's running the business more than you do the business itself, because you realize that everything reproduces after its own kind. In fact, some of these offers that me and my team are marketing and selling for some of our clients, they're offers that are focused on the person. Some people would call them like mental offers or very like self-development offers, which I know are oftentimes really fluffy. But as fluffy as they may be, when you work on yourself, you work on the man or the woman, the development of the man or the woman, everything flows from that thing. And so if you take anything from this phase, just understand everything will reproduce after its own kind. And so the battle is not against yourself, but the battle is to ensure that you yourself are growing as a healthy human being so that your business, your friends, your system, your team, et cetera, your network, all grow alongside it. Your company is going to be a downstream of you. So if you don't want apples, stop growing the apple tree and grow some other tree. So after giving you all of these 5 different phases, if you are stuck trying to break the next milestone, trying to scale into something, whether that be your 100K mark, your 500K mark, your $1 million mark, whatever that may be, I want to encourage you to pay attention to these different phases. Which one have you not realized yet or are not focusing on just yet? Which one do you think could be the huge roadblocker for you breaking into that next milestone? And by the way, comment below. I would love to read them. I'd love to see where you're at. If you feel like I missed a phase, if you're like already passed into the multiple 7 figures and you feel like a phase should have been added, let me know down in the comments. So I'm going to say it, and I know everybody else says it, but the highest leverage work that you can do is going to be the work on yourself and not just the business or the funnel or the offer or the marketing or the sales. Make sure you prioritize the highest leverage activity, which is working on yourself. The entire purpose of me making these videos and spending so much time on them and trying to tell great stories and sharing as much value as I can is so that I can build a network and so I can build a community. I want to find a way of not just serving people, but being able to build with people. And that is not possible if you're just subscribed to this channel, unfortunately. That really only happens when we have the ability to connect. So my vision is to start throwing these in-person events, in-person meetups with people that are hitting certain revenue marks. So if you're just starting out in business or whether you're all the way up in the multiple 7 figures, I would love to connect with you. So I'm going to place a form at the bottom of this video. Now, I'm not kicking off these events right now, but I purely want to gauge how interested all of you would be in actually showing up and attending one of these in-person events. This is not some cringy like in-person meetup that no introvert ever wants to go to. I'm an introvert. I hate going to these little in-person meetups. They're the worst thing ever. So we're going to change the game entirely and do a proper networking in-person meetup that works for introverts as well. So if you're interested in that, I would love for you to just put your name in the form down below. That way I know you're interested. And then as soon as I drop the first one, you will be the first person to be invited to it. And no, I'm not selling you some $997 course or a coaching program. I promise you. It's just a form. That's it.